Hello everyone, Jericho here. Welcome to We the People, a new birth of freedom. Thanks so much for stopping by. There are 7 continents on this planet. There are about 195 countries within those continents. Within those countries, there are tongues and tribes of people who have ancestries that trace back to some origin. Within those tribes and groups of people collectively, there are cultures. Cultures is what forms a particular pattern or principle or moral or ethical group of people. Religious cultures, political cultures, tribal cultures, immoral cultures, and then there are subcultures. So when you look at the globe that we live on, it's so multifaceted. It's the variables and the dynamics and the scenarios that can be played out are practically unlimited. It's kind of like music. 12 basic fundamental notes. And look at how much music has come from those 12 fundamental notes. Country music, jazz, rock, hip-hop, blues, and all the variations of those types of music, psychedelic music, you name it, folk music, and on we go, just from 12 basic little notes. But it's how they're arranged. The creator takes those notes in their hands and in their mind, and they arrange them a certain way to produce a particular sound, which becomes and eventually evolves into a culture of music. People are the same way. As individuals, we're like little notes on the soil of the sands of time. But as we come together, as we collectively come together, we form a certain culture that produces a certain sound, that has a voice, that develops trends, and sometimes they become institutions, and even sometimes, to use it metaphorically, they become universities. It's where people are educated, their environment, their nurture, their nature, genetics, all plays in to these cultures that evolve, progress, digress, become productive or destructive. It's fascinating to think about the individuals that we rub shoulders with every day, and even furthermore, the individuals that's on the planet we'll probably never see, and yet they add up into the billions, over 7 billion. Look here, we've got approximately 331 million notes here in the United States of America. And collectively, those notes that begin to gravitate towards one another, they become a culture, they become a sound, a voice, a certain type of music, a rhythm, a pace, an institution, a culture. And sometimes, metaphorically, as I said, a university. It's where people are influenced and educated, nurtured, and their nature takes on particular images. Well, based on that, I'd like to draw your attention to a subculture. Probably an actuality, but it's also an institution and also a university. where people learn. It's called the welfare culture. And before I take that a little bit farther, let me preface that by saying this is all in the context of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, justice, and truth. Because people think they're free, but they're not. People become institutionalized the same way people go to prison and become institutionalized. They become so accustomed to that lifestyle, that pattern, that institution, it's very difficult for them to live outside of the prison bars. Well, the welfare system is an institution. It's a culture. It has many subcultures, and it's also a university, a welfare university where people have learned to make careers, lifelong careers, out of welfare. Now, let me interject to say this. There are definitely, so if you go out and misquote me, that's your problem, because I'm going to make this very clear. There are definitely individuals that need assistance, statewide, through the federal government, through churches that lend a hand, through charity organizations. There are people who definitely and specifically have issues and problems and handicaps and challenges that need assistance. That goes without question. That's not even negotiable. We know those people are there. However, above and beyond or below that, there are individuals and families who have made a career out of the welfare institution, the welfare culture or subculture, the welfare university. They become educated how to circumvent the system. I've known people in my lifetime, and I'm just one individual, so if I know things just on this small scale of the world that I live in, what do you think takes place nationally on that large scale? But I've known people that say the husband works at Ford Motor Company, makes fabulous money. He's married to a woman. They've got 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. But in order to save money and work the system, they'll get a divorce. They're married, but then they'll get a divorce. She will go on welfare. He remains working at Ford Motor Company. They continue to live together while she works the system and he makes all the money. So all that money is pretty much play money. She gets into Section 8 housing, some kind of government housing. It's free. He shacks up with her. I mean, they've been husband and wife for a long time, but they figured out a way to work the system. So housing's free, utilities are free, food stamps, and then they have a lot of play money. That's just things that I know about. What about women that just go out and just keep having children so they can get more benefits? I know that too. I know situations about that. I've heard them say it. I'm going to keep having babies so I can get more from the government. Yep. And you know what? That's not a racial issue. That's all across the spectrum of humanity. Every shade and color of humanity does that. Yeah, okay. So it's a culture, it's a career. They work the system, they circumvent ethics, they circumvent the truth, they circumvent morality in order to become a slave. First of all, a slave to the system. They feel more comfortable, institutionalized. They feel more comfortable in that welfare prison. And they're not really concerned or even care. They've lived that way so long they don't even care about progressing in life. They got a free home, free utilities, free food, and an ex-husband on the side or a boyfriend or whatever. And they just live that kind of life. But they're slaves. They're still slaves. Slaves to the system. And they teach their children to live that way. It's a genetic, perpetual career to keep working the welfare system. Now, Do all lives matter? Absolutely. Absolutely, all lives matter. But here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. I'm going to repeat that again. All lives matter, and there's no such thing, and I'm going to keep repeating this, there's no such thing as a black race, a red race, a white race, a brown race, a yellow race. Those are Crayola crayon colors. Get that bullshit out of your head. That come from a bunch of degenerate politicians, liars, reprehensible, deplorable, incompetent, stupid. That's not who you are as a race. Find out your ancestry, find out where you come from, find out where your origin is. That's who you are. But nevertheless, here's something they don't want to talk about. They don't want to approach the subject of dismantling the welfare educational system. They don't want to talk about that because somebody might get offended. Somebody's going to scream, "Help, help. They're attacking me because of my color, because of my race." Okay. Well, if you want to play that card, you go right ahead. But it's bullshit. You like to be institutionalized by the welfare system. You teach your children to do so. Like I said, I'm not talking about a particular race. I'm talking about humans that have stooped so low and become so enslaved by the system they can't get out or don't want to get out. And for the most part, they don't want to get out. And I agree, some people don't know how to get out. They're trapped. But there are ways. We live in the 21st century, 2020. There are so many opportunities out there, it's pitiful. You can get out. But they don't want to talk about those issues and see it as a path, a career path to perpetuate welfare, to perpetuate the welfare institution. And see, the thing of it is, taxpayers have to pay for that. Why should I? Why should I be enslaved by my tax money to pay for people that's on welfare that don't give a shit? That affects my right as a free American. I don't mind my tax money going for people that really need it, but I know it's going for multitudes of people that don't need it. They don't want to talk about that. See, they don't want truth. They don't want real issues to be peeled back and layers peeled back to get to the truth of the situation. As I said, the government creates problems, then they want to burden the people to take care of it, to find solutions. Well, they just continue on in their elitist status, making themselves wealthy off of politics, and they move on to something else. They don't care. They do not care. And one thing I can say about one of our former presidents, old Jimmy. Old Jimmy. You know, he wasn't the most popular president, but he has continued to give back to the world, to society, through his efforts, through his life, through the culture, the ethical culture that he displays. Yes, he's an example. But people forget about him because, well, he just wasn't political enough. He wasn't the most popular president that we had. Little peanut farmer. Look what he's done through Habitat for Humanity and other charitable organizations. He's given his money, his time, his energy, his effort, right up into his older age. While other presidents just go on to become rich. Celebrities, of which I don't give two shits. See, they don't want to talk about that. But we're going to talk about the Welfare University a little bit more. But until next time, consider these things and God bless. And whatever you do, learn how to be a true American patriot. Till next time.